Now we work later.
Earlier you mentioned the concept of the community aspect, and right now you reminded me of that again. That when you're in a community, you give something and you receive something. There's that element of reciprocity,
Yes.
the give and take, and the importance of a community, that we, even though we're individuals with our own unique abilities and skill set and personalities and all these nice things, we are part of something bigger than us as well. And I think that gives us solace in a way as well. So we find ourselves in something which is bigger to us. And I think that you did something great to be involved yourself and your kids as well in a community with people who share the same difficulty.
Yes, in fact, it was something that always used to surprise me. When we did these projects, and even when the group was formed, the sense of isolation that I wasn't aware of, because I cannot understand the feeling of a young person who goes to school and feels isolated socially, because maybe they don't have friends. So because school is not only an academic environment, it's also a social environment. And school is an environment where young people make friendships. And friendships are part of the development, anyway. So it never occurred to me how much they felt isolated because of their dyslexia. So I would think it was a matter of shame, it was a matter of not understanding, but being afraid to say yet again that you're not understanding. You reach a limit, you can't say yet again. That when this project where these 11 founder members of Dyslexic Teens Dialogue met, and they wanted to meet again, because they knew that the other members of the group all had dyslexia, and it created that belonging. And when we used to meet in the projects, so we used to meet the Italians, for instance, in the first two projects we didn't have Zoom back then, so they actually used to meet there in the project. So they come from the airport and they meet. And because they know that everybody else is dyslexic, they just carry on. And there's the language barrier, because the Maltese don't know Italian that much and the Italians don't know English that much. But I used to sit and just watch them meeting for the first time.
They know what they have in common.
Because, and there's that affinity immediately. We hardly know names, but there's an affinity. He's dyslexic, she's dyslexic, might meet, because we're in the project together. And this project was for groups of young people with dyslexia. That affinity, it was something that amazes me, and it's the human need to belong as well. And in school, obviously, when you have a learning difficulty, you're in a numerical minority anyway. So you are like the minimum, not the minimum, I'm sorry, not the majority, I'm not getting
the minority group.
The minority, sorry. Okay, I got that. The minority, it's very simple, nobody can tell that. And it's the same everywhere else. Now in the last project I wanted to break that. So the one that I created, the last one, I said, okay, so Dyslexic Teens Dialogue is a youth group for young people with dyslexia. So what are we doing? We keep doing projects, and we keep putting down that the other group needs to have dyslexia as well. So I said, the world is not there. We're not working in a real world situation. Because a real world situation, you are a learner in a world where there are learners of different ages, and there are learners with different profiles. So with this project, I went a bit to break the system of school, where we are in classes of the same age. I don't have another solution, so I don't want to appear very smart. But we learn at school with young people that are of the same age, most of the time of the same gender as well. In Malta, they're either all girls or all boys. In government school, they're mixed, which is a good thing in my opinion. So I just put in a big gap from like 15 to 23, different stages of school, different. So we have maybe a Form 4 student with dyslexia. She's working with a medical student at university, so top academic achiever, and they're working with somebody with ADHD, and we're learning together. So that is the mix that we created, and it worked fantastically. Because even the student who is in medicine, third year, was awed at working with a 14-year-old. And she learned from her. And the 14-year-old learned from the university student.
Okay.
And they could all contribute together, so it was very exciting to watch. You know, it was a different, because usually it's like different learners, different language, obviously. They had a bit of a language.
Different stages as well.
And different stages, yes. I did it like that in my head on purpose. So let's see what comes out of it. And they worked really well together. Because it wasn't about exams, it was about learning. About learning to learn. So it wasn't measured. There weren't, you got a 3 out of 10. It was, look, this is
It's about the
how I'm
experience.
learning. Look, this is the study method I use, because they were exchanging study methods as well. You know, we're exploring study methods, teaching, facilitating this learning, and they're teaching it, the peer teaching and learning to each other. So they were working in these groups. So even with the Italians, you know, there were people who were in their secondary school, there were people doing the maturità, which is like their A-levels, and there were, I think, one who had started university and the others were on the way. So there were this mix of learners, and they are all learning how they learn. So it was nothing content, it was nothing something is more difficult because I've done A-level biology and you haven't done biology at all.
Yes.
It was nothing about content knowledge, it was about learning to learn. So that is what. It was exploring literally learning, the way we learn.
From what you've learned,